how come The Sound of Music is considered one of the biggest classics here in the US, while it's virtually unknown in the countries where the story originated? I came across a lot of explanations saying that the movie wasn't successful because it deals with the Nazi regime. Now, keep in mind that the movie only came out about 20 years after the end of World War II. And 20 years might sound like a pretty long time, but in the 1960s, Germany and Austria were still very much in, let's call it, denial mode. I talked about it more in detail in this video, but during that time period, the Third Reich and World War II were still pretty fresh. The majority of people had experienced it firsthand, and a lot of people who were responsible, or at least passively participated in the discrimination and crimes that were committed, were still very much alive. They were your parents, grandparents, teachers, and even politicians. So this wasn't really a time period yet where Germans and Austrians had taken collective responsibility for what they did. For the most part, that chapter of our history was simply not talked about. Because of that, the German distributor of The Sound of Music, or excuse me, of Meine Lieder, Meine Träume, decided to cut the entire last part of the movie where the Nazi plot comes in. So they showed a shortened version in German theaters that ended with the wedding, until the American director and the production studio intervened and made them show the entire movie, because they had not approved of that. But even though it's true that this wasn't really a time yet when people were open to revisiting the history of the Third Reich, I'm honestly not 100% sure how much of a role this really played in regards to the movie's lack of success. Because the German-speaking Trapp movies that were very successful had the Nazi plotline too. I mean, it wasn't quite as prevalent in the German movies, so maybe that just made the fine difference? Or maybe it was perceived differently when the historical criticism came from abroad? Maybe people felt more offended by that? I honestly can't tell you, but by the 1970s and 80s, Germany started to actively work through its past, and today the topic of World War II and the Third Reich is something that we talk about all the time. So at least from a modern day point of view, that certainly wouldn't be a reason for any German or Austrian not to like the movie.